Well, everyone, the new year is upon us. 2026 is just around the corner, and a lot has happened this year, both in my personal life and career and comics, and it got me thinking about top tips that I'm thinking about for the new year. I don't know if you're like me, but I like to spend part of the end of my new year kind of reflecting on the year that's come, kind of come and gone, and thinking about the big lessons I've learned. And obviously, as I'm a creative person working on comics and this sort of thing, I thought it'd be interesting to think about, the tips or things that I'm taking forward into the new year as a creative person who also still works a full-time job and is looking to create more projects and grow as an artist in the new year. So what I wanted to do is share with you the things that I'm thinking about going into the next year. If you're new to this channel, my name is Michael Regina. I am a graphic novelist. I write and draw spooky books for young readers, or all ages really, and my most recent book is Deepwater Creek. It just came out this past August, and The Sleepover has been out for a few years now. So if you're a big fan of kind of spooky things with kids fighting monsters and all that sort of deal, check out my books. I think you'd enjoy them. First thing I want to talk about is do it anyways. So, if what I mean by that is make the creative thing anyways. I think for many people who are living in a space of trying to manage a job, plus have family, friends, other responsibilities, and creating something that is, like their own project or their project that they're hoping to do that will get them, that book deal or whatever the case might be, there is this sort of baked in process that we understand, like what we have to do is we have to put a pitch together, we have to put together this small thing and get people to want to give us the money. Like we basically put these criteria around these creative projects that are like, I will do this if XYZ, money, whatever the case comes into the picture. And one of the things I'm thinking a lot about this year is, as I'm pitching a new project and as I'm thinking about the next thing, is this idea of like, well, just do it anyways. Make the thing anyways. So if somebody comes back and says, no, we don't want to fund that, no, we don't want to do that thing, you have every ability to just say, you know what, I'm going to make the thing anyway. I'm going to make that project. Maybe you're not going to make it in the same way you would have made it had you gone with a publisher or whatever the case might be, but you're going to be like, I'm not going to let other people tell me that this thing is something that shouldn't be done. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to get it done anyways. And, I think about how this played out in my own life when I was working on Adamsville, which was my self-published series way back in the day. I initially went through this whole pitching process and I put this pitch together and I was just like waiting for people to give me permission. I was waiting for a publisher to say, hey, we'll give you money. It's good enough. Go make it. And that whole process took like a year for everyone to get back to me and say, no, we don't like your project. I'm sorry. I wasn't ready. I look at the books, the quality and everything where I was at that stage of my life just wasn't there. It wasn't a very good book. And it was like a year later that I finally was like, you know what? I'm going to do this anyways. Like, I believe this is good. Other people may not think it's good, but I think it's good. And I decided to just make the books anyways. And what was cool through that process is it really did lead to so many of the things that now exist by simply deciding, like, I'm not going to let other people tell me I can't make this. I'm going to go do it anyway. I made Adamsville 1, and then after finishing Adamsville 1, Webtoons came along and then offered to pick up the whole series. And if Adamsville 1 didn't exist, even though I didn't have a traditional book publishing deal, I wouldn't have got that opportunity with Webtoons. I wouldn't have got that opportunity to finish all 3 books. And I think of all my comics, the Adamsville trilogy is sort of like my master's degree in comics art. I learned how to be a graphic novelist in that process. So if you're a person working a job and you're, trying to get creative things done, I would say whatever that thing is you're hoping to do it anyways. That said, the second thing I'm thinking a lot about is think smaller. So I think a lot of times, if I could look back on the Adamsville thing and think like, is there one thing I wished I would have done differently? I kind of wished I hadn't made a full-blown book series project. I think I sort of decided like this is the thing I'm going to do, and I'm really proud of it. I'm proud it exists. But I think creatively, the thing that I felt as I worked on it was this feeling of like I'm kind of hemmed in to this process. Like I'm trying to struggle a job and I'm trying to struggle a family. I'm trying to make comics, And I'm also in this place where I'm now sort of attached to this book series for the next 3 volumes, or for a total of 3 volumes, which amounted to about 7 years of my life. And I think if I would have gone back, I might have said, come up with a standalone book project idea that you can put together, finish, be done with that, move on to the next thing. Mostly because I think when you're working on these sort of big projects, there is sort of an inherent continuity that's expected, stylistically, writing wise, all these things. And I think I hampered some of my ability to grow. So I'm thinking even now, as I'm trying to manage a day job and family and all this stuff, and thinking about, well, what kind of projects do I want to work on? One of the things that continues to come to my mind is I want to do things that are smaller. I want to find a way to get more things finished in a reasonable period of time, rather than something that, maybe takes me the better part of a decade to finish. And even like a standalone book project that is, super big and long, if I get that published with a publisher, I think I'm ready to go do that. But I'm also thinking about, well, I want to do all these smaller things. I want to do these small book projects. In fact, let me show you this. All right. So one thing, I'm going to do a whole video about this project here real soon, but while I was putting together my book pitch and I'm waiting to see what happens with all that, I decided I wanted to make this little comics project. I got offered to do a Jaws short story for a anthology project that was coming along, and I thought, man, that sounds like a really cool thing. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. So it was a little 10-page comic. I'm going to do, like I said, a whole video about this and the process, and for people who want to read it can find a way to do it. But I was like, I just want to do a small little project. And what's cool about doing it is I was able to really push myself artistically and out of my comfort zone and do something that was a really cool, as a back cover, a really cool mini project that I was able to get something done, finish it in about a month and a half, and then have it in my hands very shortly after by printing it and putting it here. And it wasn't super expensive to make. So I'm thinking a lot about smaller projects like this, either small comics or whatever. And then as I'm thinking about, well, what kind of comics do I hope to get picked up by publishers, I'm continuing to think, what can I do that would allow me to finish a book in maybe a year and a half or something like that, a year to a year and a half, as opposed to 3 or 4 years. The Deepwater Creek took me 3 years to make, and I'd love to do something that comes out a little bit faster. So I would encourage you to think about projects that you can finish in a fairly reasonable period of time, do your best at it, and then move on. So I'm thinking about that. I encourage you to think about that. So the next thing I want to talk about, I think, comes out of this is this idea of being truly content and rejecting victimhood. And I think about this a lot this year, because this year, more than kind of anything other, I was feeling the desire, man, Deepwater Creek really kind of took it out of me. It was a big project. I had made some artistic decisions that I think were the right ones, like the watercoloring the pages and all this stuff, and making it the book that it needed to be. So it's the longest book I ever made. I also watercolored it. There's a lot of decisions within that book that really just sort of zapped me. It definitely took its toll on me, but also life kind of was rolling me over. I talk about it in Deepwater Creek. There was some losses that I've experienced over the last few years that have been extremely difficult to deal with, and just circumstances that have been difficult to deal with. And I just had this desire to be man, I would just like to focus on one thing, whatever that thing is. It's so hard to manage this day. And kind of in some providence, I was put in a situation where I could make a decision. Should I continue on this sort of path of doing both things, or should I, take a chance? And ultimately, I made a decision to try to, continue to juggle both things. And even in that, there was sort of a thought that I had to think about of am I content? And I think for the longest time, I've told people I am content. I'm content doing both things. But the truth was, I realized I was more accepting of it as a reality rather than necessarily content. So I accepted it as the thing that I needed to do to be able to do the work that was necessary to build the career of being a comic book artist, a professional comic book artist. But that's very different than being content with it. And the reason I think this is important is when you are not content and you're forcing things, the goal of this career is the goal. you start making decisions that have nothing to do necessarily with the kinds of things that come out of yourself as an artist. So you start thinking about it like a businessman. You're like, well, how do I scheme this way and how do I scheme that way? And I know a lot of artists who are super prolific in that way. But for me, what I kind of realized is like, I don't operate in that way necessarily. If I don't really believe in the project, I'm not interested in just putting a lot of things into the world. I'm interested in putting the things that I really believe in into the world. And that may mean that what I have to do is sort of accept and be content juggling both things, because it might take me a little bit longer, and I want to make sure I'm doing the kinds of projects that I'm really in love with and that I think are worth doing. And so this is maybe the more muddling part of it, but I'm just sort of saying, like, it's okay to have a goal in mind, move in that direction, obviously, but I'm trying to think less about like, it's some victimhood thing. I just can't do it because I'm managing all these circumstances. And I'm more saying, you know what? This is where I am. I'm managing a day job. I'm managing family. I'm managing, people I love, and I'm trying to make books. And what does that mean? It may mean that I need to accept a slower pace of life, which again comes back to thinking smaller, because then I'm going back and going, well, if my life is where it is here, and I've got this, I really do have a great job and a great opportunity there, and I have a great family, and I love my kind of personal life, then okay, like, make the comics just work within the circumstances. Take all the pressure off of them to be some sort of bread-winning endeavor, and just focus on enjoying making good stuff, because I think that when you do that, you actually set yourself up more for success than if you sort of have the stink of desperation on you, right? When you're like, I'm just desperate, I've got to get something out the door. You make a lot of weird decisions when you do that. So I'm trying to focus on being content with balancing a day job plus art and creative projects and family and life and all that stuff. I'm trying to be okay with, like, this is just where I am. So then what am I focusing on then? If I'm thinking smaller and I'm trying to be content and I'm thinking about all these things, what is ultimately what I'm like trying to put my energy into? And it's like, I just want to become so good I can't be ignored, right? And because I think what we all miss in that process is, like, when we're trying, we're putting this cart before the horse. Like, we're going like, I want the business, but I don't necessarily want to be good enough to earn the business, right? And so I just got this book in the mail yesterday, and I don't know if you're a fan of him, but Daniel Warren Johnson is, holy crap, my favorite comic book artist working today in the sort of mainstream world. But he's this weird amalgamation of, like, not only is he so talented artistically, but he's an amazing writer. And you can just, what I love about watching Daniel is that he is thinking, like, all he ever is doing is like, I want to be great. I want to be good. I want to be good. And all of his energy seems to go into, I just want to be really, really good. And I want to, because I heard this quote from Brandon Sanderson recently, and he was talking about sort of the movement that's happening in AI. And he was talking about sort of like people's desires to go make books full time or be an author full time. And he was like, we have to remember, like, we're the art. We're the art. Our ability to do the art well, our ability to be extremely competent at it, our ability to grow, like, that is the amazing beauty of you as an artist. But when you just put dollars behind it, and you're thinking about dollars, and you're thinking about, I want money, and I need money, and I want money, you compromise things. And then as a result of compromising those things, you actually completely you undermine yourself. You cut yourself off at the knees, because the thing you need to do is become really good. And if you're really good, the amazing thing is that's where places sit up and they go, hey, this guy's really good, or this gal's really good. We should bring them in. They should work on this project. They should do this thing. And I guess the way I'm putting it is, like, if you become so good they can't ignore you, which is a Steve Martin quote. And there's a great book by Cal Newport called So Good They Can't Ignore You that I think is definitely worth reading. He sort of talks about this and how do you choose a career. But I think if you the cool thing of it is like, if you focus on being really, really good, everything else sort of takes care of itself. It doesn't mean that you won't have to try or put a pitch together or do these things, but I've seen in my own life that when I focus on my quality and my ability to get things done, opportunities present themselves. So, as I think about the hopeful, the ability to maybe do this full time one day, I'm understanding alongside of this like being content thing that it is not a thing I can force. I hear a lot of, and I should have talked about this in the Rejecting Victimhood piece, that I hear a lot of creatives who blame the industry, they blame other people, they blame, the money that's in the industry, they blame like all these things on, it's everybody else's fault why you can't get what you want. And the truth is like nobody owes you anything. And what publishers are there to do is to help you get a platform. But if your book isn't good and if audiences aren't connecting with it, they can't help that. And as creatives, we can either take that and like take it as a shot to the gut, or we can take a step back and say, okay, that one didn't land right now maybe, but I'm going to pick up and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep making things. I'm just going to focus on getting better. Because like looking at Daniel's stuff, I know like some of his earlier works were maybe not as popular as he's gotten to at this point, like Extremity, which is his first graphic novel project. It's extremely good, but he's had projects that are bigger, right? But you can see someone who's just like, I just want to get really, really good. I recommend all of Daniel Warren Johnson's library. He's awesome. So just focus on being so good they can't ignore you. And then lastly, this is maybe the thing I've learned more than anything in the last few years. That your voice as a creator, your style, whatever you want to call it, is the thing that matters more than those things. There's sort of these stages I've talked about in this video I did on this Seth Godin's book, The Dip. There are these stages of like building competency that I think you have to go through. So that's what when you're a student, like when you're a student, you should just be gathering inspirations, gathering pieces to this puzzle that is you. So you gather up all these pieces, but at some point you'll find your voice and you'll find that thing that is you. And that voice, that style or whatever is the combination of all these culminating events that you love. Like for me, like I think about building my style is like, I want to write like this person. I want to think about character like this person. I want to draw like this person, composition like this person. And it's like 30 artists or something like that come together, and that's me. That's me. But underneath all that is knowing that like that thing that makes me is the thing that the industry, that readers, that authors, like or audiences, that's what they want. They want something that feels wholly new. Like I have this Post-it on my desk right here. I have a couple of quotes, but this one I think about a lot. So M. Night Shyamalan, who is my favorite creative, I heard him say this once. He said, "I'm more me than they are them." And he was talking about this idea of like becoming comfortable with his voice as a creator. So he knows that he's got these quirky sensibilities, that not everybody loves his stuff, and he's sort of embraced it, and he's like, but for the people that do, I just want to continue to be me. And I think with Deepwater Creek, it was the first time that like I felt like I found my voice as a creator, and all I want to do is continue to develop that. And that is a lifelong pursuit as you continue to gather influences and add new pieces. It's really exciting to kind of see the stylistic process emerge out of your creative end and see what you can become on the other side. So as you're doing all these things, as you're deciding to make the projects anyway, as you're thinking smaller maybe about making things that you can finish and have something finished in your hands and being content and just working at your craft, find your voice through that process. It's okay to pull from your inspirations. A lot of people are like, I'm trying to be different. No, you look to your inspirations. Why are you responding to these things? Why? And if you're doing all these things together, if you're finding your style, if you're getting really good, if you just focus on the craft, you're finishing books, and you're thinking about your voice, I'm confident that you're gonna find people that read it. You may not be a cultural phenomenon, but you don't have to be. You just need to make things that you love, that other people love, and serve other people with being yourself. I want to read things and I want to look at movies and books and stuff from artists that are oozing their personality. So these are the things I'm thinking about as I go into the new year. I want to focus on doing it anyways. I want to get books done. I want to make these smaller things. I want to finish stuff. I want to get them into the world. I want to become content with where I am in life and accept sort of this balance that I have to manage and be okay that might mean I'm a little slower than normal, but I'm going to keep being consistent. I'm going to keep showing up and finishing. And I want to just get better at my craft through that process. So when I do these small projects, or smaller things, I can just throw myself into like, how do I get really, really good at that thing and push my limits and my boundaries. And then also I want to become more confident in my voice as a creator. So I hope these tips were helpful to you as you think about the new year. I'm so excited to see what the new year holds for me creatively, and I hope you are for yourself as well. I look forward to seeing the stuff you're making. I'm always happy to look at pitches and stuff people are making, so if you ever want to send it my way, please do. And for now, I hope you have a great new year. I will talk with you soon. Bye.